I need a clipper, you need a clipper, we all need clippers. And from our wild friends at Safari Pedals, I introduce you Zebra Clipper. But is this the clipper that we need? Let's check it out, my friend. Vamos a relanzar now. We break it down, baby. Alright, my friend, thank you so much for being here once again in another video. And like I was saying in the intro, it's for nobody a secret that in this day and age, in music production,
we need clippers.
A lot of that sound that we associate with a finished product, a polished record, something that actually competes with your favorite albums, has to do a lot with volume and fullness and perception of size. So ever since like the 60s, we've been in this like super quest of diminishing the dynamic range so that we can keep pushing things louder and louder and louder. And this is nothing new, starting with the invention of gentle limiters, moving to gentle compressors and more aggressive compressors, then like super aggressive limiters, up until the peak of the loudness wars, where clipping started being implemented. Or if you want to see it from a different perspective, every time you achieve saturation and distortion in the analog domain, basically what you're doing is just clipping that signal, just shaving those peaks so that you can bring the lower levels up. And usually in those lower levels is where all that character and all that sauce lives. And without getting too geeky, in my opinion, there's like two main kinds of clippers. The ones intended for your master bus or for mastering, which usually the intention is going to be like the cleanest that they can be,
while achieving the most level.
And then there's a second category that the main goal is just getting the most character possible. More like maybe like
analog sounding.
Me particularly, I'm a big fan of this second kind because I love to clip individual instruments, but not so much a 2-track. What about you, my friend? Do you like to clip a 2-track? Anyway, let's stop the talking, get to the rocking, and check a plugin. So here we are in Pro Tools, my friend. I have a song loaded so we can listen to this plugin in different kind of examples. Also, very importantly, I have this meter right here on your screen so that you can actually check how much we're affecting levels. Not only to check if we're fooling ourselves, but also to like check what the plugin is doing, right? Because since we're talking about a clipper, I want to see how it's clipping that signal. So let's start by opening Zebra right here in my drum master. So there you have it, the Zebra clipper. And following with the Safari pedals kind of philosophy, it looks sort of like a guitar pedal.
Right.
So the first thing that I'm going to try to do is like make it bigger. And there we go. Now I can actually see what's happening. So my friend, you guessed it. This is the perfect moment for you to get a great set of headphones, speakers, AirPods, whatever you feel comfortable listening to music so that we can have a meaningful conversation in the comment section down below.
All right, let's go.
So first and foremost, exploring the interface, we can see that we have our preset section, I want to say, and we have a default. And the first thing that we see is that there's a bunch of presets, a lot of them by Craig Bauer, great mixer. Let's see what else we have here. Yo-Yon on the beat, vocal thickness, a bunch of starters in case you need to get inspired. But today we're just going to be playing around and move all the knobs. Then we have something to save your presets, I guess, and to delete presets. Then right here on the left, we'd have a little input meter. Then we have a bypass knob or light. Then right here on the other corner, we have the auto gain, which basically what it does is like as if you're using both of your hands, right? And just like turning one up and one down. Zoop, 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 zoop. Auto gain. And then we have our input section, our output section. We have a little oversampling button right here. Then we have meters. We have a selector for in and out. Then probably one of the most important parts of the plugin, the different kinds of styles. And like I was telling you earlier, two different kinds of clippers. They have 3. We're going to check them out. Then we have a mojo knob and a button and a sub boost knob. And of course a little light too. Then last but not least, we have a blend knob. And I guess depending on the usage that you find for a plugin like this and how creative you get, I want to say that maybe in a clipper it doesn't really make sense because you're trying to clip a signal. And if you have like some peaks going through, then what are we doing? But let me know, my friend, what do you think a clipper should be doing in the comment section down below? And while you're there, remember to like, subscribe, and do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube. And enjoy this little bossa nova, my friend. I hope the day keeps getting better and better and better. Right, let's get some noise. Alright, let's try to go back to our default and start with the plugin on bypass so that we hear what we have. And then I'm going to start bringing it in and pay attention to what's happening in the meters. You know what to do. Let's go. Okay, and first impression, pretty light, gentle, nothing too extreme, right? So let's start pushing it and let's add the auto gain feature so that we are a little bit in the ballpark. I want to say that it took it a little bit far, huh? The auto gain, because it took it down a lot more than I was expecting. I wonder if they're going for perceived loudness or if they're going for peak metering. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. So let's turn the auto gain off and maybe compensate by ear and meter. I feel like we're a little bit closer in that area, right? Let's see how much headroom we're gaining by using this clipper. Okay, we're like around minus 17. Now let's see without it. So basically we're gaining like roughly 2 dBs, right? Let's stop the geeky stuff and let's go back to the sound. Let's turn the oversampling and hear how it sounds. That oversampling little thing in these kind of plugins, I noticed, it just makes a big difference. I wonder if they should start with it on or make like a super like big thing that says, turn this thing on. Because honestly, the plugins just sound so much better. At least the Safari pedals, they sound really good when you oversample them. All right, let's move on and listen to a different kind of styles. Very different flavors right there. I don't know what's happening here with the round, right? Like, for a minute, I thought that it was my computer crapping out, but it wasn't. I wonder if it's just the sound of it or if I'm just pushing it too hard. But instantly right now I can say that maybe the analog, it's a little bit more mojo. It sounds a little bit more aggressive than the modern. Felt a little bit more like I was talking at the beginning, like a little bit more like a master bus kind of clipper, because I instantly started hearing a lot more transient information. And that round sounded a little bit like, I don't know, maybe too lo-fi. Let's hear it again really quick. Like, what is that? It makes no sense to me, but whatever. Let's go back to that modern, because I feel like right now, at least in this drum set, sounded really good. And instantly you can see that we have a little bit more permissiveness on those transients because we went all the way to 16. Yeah, way softer. Let's try to push it a little bit more. Okay, now there we have a little bit more like apples to apples, right? And definitely, this sounds like a much cleaner way to clip your signal. At least for drums, it sounds really good. It's got a lot of sound though. It's not like really transparent. Like it does have a lot of tone. So let's keep moving, and I'm going to keep it right there in that modern tone because this is the one that I like the most so far. And let's start tweaking this like mojo thing. Let's start with it off and then turn it on. Let's back it down a little bit. Wow, there's a lot of level gain right there. A lot of gain we earned. Let's turn it down a bit. That one has a lot of EQ. Like there's so much to append now. Okay, I feel like around there it sounds like very nice and still sort of like natural to say. So right then and there, it starts being a little bit more than just a clipper, right? And then is it me or there's not really that much clipping happening in this mode? It doesn't really sound like it's clamping the signal too much. That could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you're trying to achieve with it. But it's just something that I wanted to point out. Okay, now let's try to do this sub boost. Wow, a lot of power right there. And then something happens with the levels, right? Like as soon as I put the sub boost in, it feels like the levels dropped a little bit down, a little bit more. So let's try to compensate with the output. That's a hefty like boost in like around 60 or something. Maybe in like that conservative settings, that's a little bit better for my taste. Wow, the top end in this Mojo knob is very, very intense. So basically we're roughly gaining 1 dB of gain right here. But when I say 1 dB of gain, I mean we're gaining 1 dB of headroom, meaning that we can push it 1 extra dB louder in the mix. Maybe not the drums, but the whole mix, because we're diminishing our crest factor, right?
Geeky stuff.
But overall, the sound of the plugin, pretty nice. Let's go back and see what happens with all these changes if we try to see the analog and the round. Something is definitely happening right there. I don't know if it's like something about the plugin right now not working correctly, or if it's meant to sound like that, because I feel like there's maybe like flutter and like maybe wow or something. I feel like there's like some manipulation in the tempo. That's why I felt like there was like a problem with the computer. But I don't see anything right here on my system usage. So who knows? But I feel like that's enough banging on the drums. Let's hear what happens with the bass. All right, let's just hear how it sounds in the default mode. And let's start with the plugin bypass and we'll bring it in. You know how it is. See, like in the bass instrument sounds a little bit different. Like definitely I want to say that there's like a little bit of like low harmonics that I wasn't really appreciating on the drums. I feel like in the kick drum, and this kind of kick drum just happens so quickly that you cannot really hear the bottom end. That's why it's important to hear a bass. And definitely in the analog mode, there's a little bit of like a bass boost. But definitely we're gaining a lot of volume right here. Again, I don't see it like limiting really that much or clipping. Let's start pushing it a little bit harder with the auto gain setting on and see what happens. So yeah, after all that distortion, we're literally just like gaining like 3 dBs. But let's back it down a little bit more to something more sensible and let's start tweaking to our different kind of styles. All right, let's move on to a different setting, modern, for example. See, and in modern, we definitely need a lot more volume. So let's try to push it a little bit harder. And then again, modern, it's a lot cleaner than the analog was. Let's go to the round setting. Yeah, a lot more distorted than the other two. I wonder why it's called round and if it's so distorted. Or I wonder if this is just a problem with my version of the plugin, with my copy. Maybe by the time that you check this video, which is going to be at the launch of the plugin, this is already fixed. But yeah, so far that round, it's a no-go for us. Back to the modern setting. Let's turn the oversampling on because we already determined that it sounds a lot better. Okay, instantly on the bass, this setting, I'm really enjoying it. Let's try to bring the mojo and the sub to this and see what happens. In this case, this brings something that the bass already had in it that we kind of lost. And we're just bringing it back. But let's try to push it harder and see what happens. I can see that working really nice on an 808, for example. Let's back it down to a sensible location. Now let's try to hear the sub boost. I mean, as a mojo machine, it sounds really good. I'm not sure about the clipping. This is like, it's got me a little bit puzzled and I don't know what to think, but I don't feel any clipping at all. So to check this further, why don't we check bass and drums together and we put a meter on the bus so that we can see what's happening. Put sort of the clipping to the test. Let's do it. So yeah, there's a huge difference in sound, right? I think we can agree on that. But definitely, I'm not seeing a lot of clipping happening. Let me see what happens. I'm going to take these guys off. And let's bring a zebra into that instrument bus. And of course, we have to make it big again. And let's see what's happening with the clipping in the bus. Like in this case, instead of like having less peaks, I have more peaks. I really don't get what's happening. Let's go back to modern now. Let's push it and see what happens. Okay, right there, our meters are behaving sort of similarly. But again, I see no clipping. Let me bring an actual clipper and see what happens. See what happens with this clipper? Like, we're not getting anywhere past this. So we are definitely effectively taking some of the peaks out. And let's say if we need more saturation, we just push this guy. But you see what happens? We were in the 12 and 11 because we're like maybe in like a half dB kind of difference right there. But as soon as you push it all the way hard, we are in that 11 and we're not going anywhere, right? So basically right there, I gained us 4 dBs of headroom. And this is what I'm not seeing in that Zebra clipper. But let's stop the mystery and let's go get some conclusions. Alright my friends, so there you have it, the Zebra clipper by Safari Pedals. I'm having a little bit of issues in my head about the clipper name, right? Because that's like the technical side of my brain and I'm thinking, if it's a clipper, why is it not clipping? But on the other hand, if I forget about that as a sauce machine, it really sounds great. That Mojo has so much top end that if you were really needing top end, you have it. And then the sub frequencies like that, like boost around 50 or 60 hertz is like really, really nice. I have no doubt that you can get a really good sound with this plugin,
But
I'm not 100% sure that you can actually restrict the dynamic range as I would have expected on a clipper. So overall, I want to say like I really like the sound of the plugin. I love the way these plugins look. I really enjoy them, but I'm a little bit puzzled with the fact that it doesn't sound like a clipper to me. But that's enough about me, my friend. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And remember, like, subscribe, do all those cool little things that we like to do on YouTube. If you can financially support me, smash that super thanks button. I thank you so much. And if you have some more time to watch another video with me, go watch this one right here, my friend. And I'll be waiting for you right there. Thank you for being here again. See you soon.